February 16, 2023. Why do cavefish lose their eyes? Deep underground, there are caves where the sun never shines. If you found yourself in one of these caverns without a light, you would see nothing at all, just total blackness. In some of these underground caves, there are fish, crustaceans, salamanders, and other animals that have evolved to live without light. For example, more than 100 species of cave fishes live their lives in constant darkness. They depend on senses other than sight to hunt, eat, and reproduce. Many of these species of fishes are blind or nearly blind. Some don't even have eyes, yet they all evolved from fishes that could see. Somehow, over millions of years, these fishes not only developed the ability to live without sight, they lost the ability to see altogether. How did that happen? How can evolution cause a species to lose a trait? It's a mystery that evolutionary scientists have been struggling to unre- unravel. The search for an answer gives us a fascinating look at how evolution works. Regressive evolution. We usually think of evolution as a process in which species acquire new traits, but in cave fishes, we have an example of regressive evolution, a process in which species lose a trait, in this case, the ability to see. How does this happen? Do cavefishes go blind because they don't use their eyes? Though at first this idea might seem to make sense, it actually has no basis in science. It is your genes that determine which traits you inherit. For example, you have 5 fingers on each hand because of the genes you got from your parents. However, if you have an accident and lose a finger, your children would still be born with 5 fingers on each hand. If you left the beach and become a bodybuilder, it doesn't mean your children will be born with bulging biceps. In each case, your genes haven't changed, even though your body has. The fact that killfishes don't use their eyes has absolutely no effect on the DNA in their chromosomes. They are blind because something happened to the genes that control the development of their eyes. This change is passed on from parents to offspring. That explains why a blind fish would have blind offspring. But it doesn't explain how a whole species of blind fish came to exist. Evolution works by a process called natural selection. If an animal is born with a trait that gives it an advantage over other individuals, it would be more successful at having offspring. When this happens, evolutionary scientists say that animal is selected for having that trait. Its offspring and the succeeding generations will inherit that trait, spreading it throughout the population. But in the case of cave fishes, how does being blind give a fish an advantage in the dark? And if being blind is not an advantage, then how did nature selection lead to a species of blind cave fish? Two answers. Scientists have studied one species of blind cave fish, the blind Mexican tatra. They have come up with computing explanation for blindness in that fish, which likely will help them to understand their cavefiness as well. The first hypothesis assumes that blindness does give the fish some sort of evolutionary advantage, though not directly. What if the gene or genes that cause blindness also are responsible for some other change in the fish? And what if it was that change, not blindness, that gave the fish an advantage to reproduce? Scientists call this pairsophy, when multiple effects are caused by the same mutation in one gene. The second hypothesis is based on the fact that natural selection does not just reward success, it also weeds out failures. In a lake where there is sunlight, a fish born blind would have trouble competing with other fish that can see. It probably would not survive to have offspring, but a fish born blind in a dark cave would not be at a disadvantage, since in the darkness no fish can use their eyes. In those conditions, natural selection would not work to weed out the mountain for blindness. Over millions of years, many more mutations will accumulate, and eventually the entire population of fish will be blind. This is called the natural mutation hypothesis, an eye-opening experiment. A group of scientists at the University of Maryland carried out an experiment with two varieties of the same species of Mexican pteros. One variety lives in bodies of water near the surface where there is sunlight and can see. The other variety of pteros lives in a dark cave and it is blind. In their experiment, the scientists transplanted a lens from the eye of surface ptera embryo into the eye of cave extra embryo. The cave-fish embryo would normally develop into a bland fish, but the lens from the surface terra translated into the cave terra caused all of the surrounding tissues to help to develop into a house eye. This experiment demonstrates that the genes involved in the development of the eyes of the cave terrier were still totally functional. The scientists knew that there are many genes responsible for the development of each part of an eye. Each part develops independently. The results of the experiment show that the genes for eye development in the Mexican territory were all ready to work properly given the correct signal. The experiment seems to suggest that blindness in the Mexican territory was not caused by many mutations, but instead by a small number of mutations in genetic master switches. These master switches are genes that control the function of many other genes. In this case, the switches control genes responsible for eye development. These master switches have the ability to disable the eye gene. These remain intact but inactive, pulling a heavy lens into the cave tetra embryo seems to trigger master switches to send a signal to the inactive eye genes, allowing cave terrors to develop eyes. If scientists could find the genetic master switches that made cave terrors blind, they could discover if the same switches had effect on other traits of the face that do give it an evolutionary advantage for surviving in caves. The researchers did indeed find one of those genes. It is nicknamed hedgehog or the HH gene. They discovered that the hedgehog gene does more than cause blindness in cave terrors. When the fish develop without eyes, the skull bones moved into the empty eye socket, which at the same time enrollment is its nose. Unlike other vertebrate vertebrates, fishes use their nose only for smelling. It could be that the same control gene HH that stops eye development in the face also enhance its sense of smell. An enhanced sense of smell would be a definite advantage for a fish that lives in darkness. As a result of these and other experiments, it now bright, seems highly likely that blindness in cave terrors is in part the result of pleiotropy, one mutation that causes blindness in the fish and at the same time give them an enhanced sense of smell. Evolution works. Scientists are still studying cave faces, and the new cave faces are sure to be found, but one thing is already clear. The answer lies in the basic process of evolution that are already well understood, which new tools that she give scientists the ability to map genes, find specific mutations, and understand the development of embryo. We are increasing our understanding of how evolution works. Thank you very much. Bye.